Greetings! Welcome to the Devlog for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. We're going to start off as always with a quick sound check. Make sure your speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So, what are we working on this week? Obviously, it's the week that is in between our updates, and I have been hard at work at rebuilding what is basically going to be the modular range. We're still finalizing the name for the scene. That's a little bit cooler than modular range. But yeah, this new scene is going to encompass everything that the modular range did and a whole bunch more. So I thought what I would do this week is show you a few of the sequences that I have been working on, or rather the pieces of sequences, and then talk a little bit more about some of the structure that's going to lay on top of things. So let's go ahead and prep ourselves something to shoot with here. I'm going to turn on the laser pointer here. Throw a drum in there, and then I need to reach behind me. I'm sitting in my chair at the moment, and hit the space bar to start this. So to start off, we have sort of disc targets that, you should be used to from the modular range. Hit them in any place to score points on them. Oh, there we go. And such, and basically for the disc shooting modes, there are 5 different types of disc targets. So in the case here, we have the standard discs and we have no shoot ones. Let's shoot those away. Wonderful. It still doesn't auto advance to the next wave yet when no shoots are present. I need to fix some logic. We can have these in our sort of standard, sort of static pattern. Here's a new type of target. These are called armored ones, and these take a different amount of shots to destroy based on what you're hitting them with. So I'm hitting them with an intermediate rifle cartridge. Cool, so those take 10 shots. Oh, didn't get them in time. We've got what are called red ring targets, which are essentially a shoot target in the center and a no shoot on the edge. So these will actually give you negative points if you hit them in the edge. I'll be adding an indication that will let you know whether you struck it correctly or incorrectly. Let's see what's next here. Oh, and we've got some classic bulls here. These are going to probably be sort of 10-3-1 scoring. So rewards incredibly precise hits. Still gives you some points if you hit them anyway. We've got some new movement styles that didn't exist before in the modular range. So in this case, this is a rotational swell. Just realized I'm aiming with my wrong eye here. And, of course, we can mix and match them to our heart's content in all sorts of insane patterns. Obviously, I probably wouldn't throw a wave quite this disorganized at you, but we'll see. More new patterns. Got it. Wonderful. Zero gravity spin. And what do we have after this? Oh, and just an example of being able to just flood the field with no shoots and giving you a small number of targets to hit within that field. Oh. So let's see, what do we got next? Okay, so next up we have a new type of mode that's going to exist called mental math. Now, I just have the 3x3 grid implemented right this moment, which isn't super exciting because there's only 9 to shoot, but there's going to be a 3x3, a 4x4, and a 5x5. And these will have, at least for now, 6 different instructions that it can present for you to do. So in the first case, we have, 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 5 minus 3, so we've got subtraction in there. Multiplication, which obviously on a 3x3 isn't super interesting. And division. Oh, wow. And all the public can see you messing that one up. And then we've got count-ups and countdowns, where you just have to... and then a countdown. So yeah, so that's the way the grids will work. And these can obviously, one important thing that you're seeing is that obviously a lot of these targets are sort of at this range, which I believe is the sort of 15-meter mark. But what's special about this new sequencing system is that I can place these at intervals between 5 meters and about 200 meters out. And importantly, I can have several of these active at once. So I could have, you know, this instruction up front at 5 meters and then a whole bunch of discs behind for bonus points. I can sort of mix and match things freely in this configuration, which of course will get more interesting and flexible as I add target types into the system. So in this case, we have our classic mess with your head in terms of interfering color cues. Purple shape, red shape, shoot the shape that is a pentagon, shoot the hexagon, shoot the shape that is a square. So as you can see, I'm even varying the exact verbiage in the sentence, just to mess with you. Red hexagon, pink square, shoot all of the shapes that are yellow, all that are orange, all that are yellow, all the shapes that are pentagons, all the heptagons that are purple, and then lastly we have negation. So shoot the shapes that are not blue, not yellow, and obviously those weren't super mind-bending in order like that because I was just progressing through a pretty predictable sequence of instructions. Once I actually start designing sequences for those, they're going to be far more mixed together. So, and the whole purpose behind that is to basically make a sort of target appraisal challenge that's about you actually reading each time instead of sort of prematurely reacting because you've gotten a cue that you think is the correct one, but it isn't because you haven't taken the time to actually read the sentence. So yeah, so those are the 3 types that I have functional and ready to show so far. Let's go ahead and jump out of VR and talk about what else is essentially going to be ready for you guys next week.
Yo! So we're out of VR now. So what is going to be ready for next week? Well, my plan is that I have 3 other sort of categories of targets that are in production currently that I want to get done to the point where folks can play with them and test them next week. There's a set of the blue IPSC targets that are in the breaching prototype. Those are going to make their appearance in this mode, where instead of the target simply floating in the field, I actually have this, almost call it like abstracted level geometry that will pop up at a specific range that gives partial cover, and then those sorts of targets will sort of appear in random positions for a certain period of time or a certain number of targets. And those will be out at all of your given ranges. There's going to be what are called mortars, which will be basically target spawners that you'll see them, so it'll be visible where they're going to come from. And in an almost skeet-like way, they're going to sort of launch more ballistic targets up into the air, so at various sorts of angles. I need to make sure, come to think of it, that those don't respond to the gravity options or they'll break horribly. And then the third style that you haven't seen here that I want to do are going to be called sort of bouncers. They're going to be another type of very kinetic target. They're going to be multi-hit, but they're going to respond to how off center or on center you strike them. So almost think of it as a target that really rewards patience and center striking as you're shooting it, and that will very quickly start moving and bouncing around if you end up hitting it on an edge. So it's once again, I want to create various sorts of challenges here that reward specific sorts of behaviors, whether it's instantaneous hitting, being super patient, appraising something, as much variety as I can bring to it. So in terms of what's going to be ready for you to play with, what I'm planning for next week is basically to have the scene that you just saw a little further along and in what I would call a sort of a demo mode, where there's not going to be a gun spawner in it, more than likely. I'm just going to provide you what will end up being the starting weapons for the mode and a couple demo sequences just to try out and give me your feedback. I'm also going to be scraping some scoring data from it and using that to calibrate the difficulty and scoring principles that I'm going to be applying to the rest of the waves. So once it's out next week, if you could play it and play a lot of it, I'll be scraping data from it, and it would be incredibly helpful for me. So, and then past that, I would say almost that some of my plans have changed, because I put out the other day a question to the subreddit, which was basically, what do you folks think of having a sort of unlock or progression system for equipment for the range? And the response was pretty much universally, please give us our Skinner box unlock structure. I shouldn't have really been surprised. And so what that means is that while sort of for the next update is going to be sort of a functionality test, it's not really going to be the way that the waves and equipment is going to be presented to you. And then hopefully, if everything goes well, what will follow in the following update is the beginnings of structured sequences and a sort of an unlock and a currency system. So you'll earn points for completing sequences, bonus points for things like accuracy, fast finish time, things like that, and then be able to use that currency to unlock firearms within classes. And then for each type of sequence, what's going to happen is that there are going to be, each one is going to be restricted to a class of weapons. So almost think of a category or a subcategory or several of them within the item spawner. You might pick a sequence in a given category. Like I actually have my, if I can find them here, I actually have my sequence categories. I have so many script files open, it would make you all go cross-eyed. Where is it? Okay, there we go. So yeah, so just to let you folks know what I'm thinking of running with for basically everything at the top end is within what's called a theme, and the theme is like the top level category for a sequence. There's going to be some getting started ones, which are going to be fairly easy, just to sort of introduce all of the different target types and concepts. It's a good place to start. There's going to be a theme category called casual plinking, which are going to be largely, I would say, non-time pressured ones. They're for people who want to take as much time as they want, really work on their accuracy. The waves will probably have a final sort of like timeout amount, but it'll be several minutes per wave. So if you really want to use it as a way of learning the sort of zeroing offset for a given firearm or how to use a given optic really well, that's what those are going to be for. Or if you just want to sit back and have a relaxing sort of thing, still get a score at the end, still unlock stuff, but not be pressured by how fast you have to do things, that's going to be for the casual plinking ones. There's going to be a theme category called lightning reflexes, which is all primarily going to be about speed. They're very, very time pressured. They're very rapid fire, but they're not going to be very long sequences. They're going to be about, between 30 and 60 seconds of really high intensity, fast reaction. And they're likely going to be the ones that will have, how to put this, sort of unbounded scoring. Meaning that the way that I can author a wave is I can say, okay, this wave is going to take 30 seconds and there are 10 targets in it, period. Or I can author a wave and say, okay, so this wave is 15 seconds long, and there are as many targets will spawn as you can shoot in that period of time. I.e., there's always going to be more possible targets than you could ever get in that amount of time. So it will reward people who are getting, down to microseconds faster than someone else. So that's what that scoreboard and that theme set is going to be about. There's going to be the mental gymnastics theme, which is going to have a lot of the stuff like the shapes and the grids and other sorts of sort of cognitive task targets. Think of that theme space as the one where I try to mercilessly screw with you. And then the sort of the fifth theme set is going to be what's called spray and pray. And this one is, I would say, shares certain things with lightning reflexes, but I would call this probably the most arcadey one. This is going to be the one where, you pop a drum magazine on a rifle, throw a laser sight, you're not even aiming down the top. This is the, hold the rifle under here and spray it at things mode. Lots of really close range targets. Yeah, it's not about accuracy. It's going to be about volume of sustained fire. And especially for those of you who enjoy shooting guns, but are like, I don't really have the patience to get good at this. I just enjoy being here in the experience. That's what that theme set is for. So yeah, and that's one of the things that's important to me is if I'm putting in an unlock system, I don't want to gate people from being able to acquire new stuff because they're expected to play in a way that they don't find enjoyable. So I want to make sure there are going to be multiple interesting paths towards earning that currency and unlocking stuff. Especially because it's not like this is like a microtransaction-y game. So I don't really... The unlock system is there to encourage you to play and encourage you to take on new challenges. It's not there to gate you from content till you pay me another $2 or something. Because that shit is noxious. So yeah, and then within each of those themes, there's going to, I might do a fixed category set, I might just do this on a per wave basis, but I'd come up with a set of sort of 5 different categories, one of which is open, meaning that you can bring any firearm you want to it, and that the sequence design assumes you can or will, meaning you could totally just put out a handgun, a fully loaded rifle, and have a sniper rifle up on a bipod. And the sequence description will say something to that effect, possibly. Like, this sequence is about actually switching between several active firearms at once. There'll be what are called 6-shooter sequences, which are sequences that are entirely designed around the fact that you are using a sort of low-capacity firearm. So in this case, the quintessential, 6-shot 44 Magnum, but this may be a 6-shot pump shotgun, or just a low-capacity automatic handgun like a 1911. And what 6-shot basically means is that every wave will only ever have 6 shots you have to make. So if you had 100% accuracy, you would always be able to do your reloading during the warm-up phase in between waves. There'll be Cqb style sequences as a sort of subcategory, which is just all up front, midfield ones that are all about using more of the rifle class firearms, i.e. light magnification, or if you've got really, really good eyes, just a red dot. And then there'll be long-range ones, which are all going to be 100 meters to 200 meter engagements. So they're all going to require optical magnification. Many of them will probably recommend use one of the bipoded firearms. And I'll have an adjustable table for you to be able to use in the case of those, so that you can get your bipod set up exactly how you want, whether you want to lay prone, be sitting up, or be standing, whatever's comfortable for you. So yeah, so that's the plan. That's what I'm working on. So after next week's update, I'm gonna immediately jump into adapting to my sort of item database, all of the sort of metadata that will be necessary for the game's economy system, and then building that out. I think I'll be able to get that all functional, as well as a first set of waves for all you folks within 2 weeks following next week's update. Cross fingers, as long as I don't get sick or distracted by another idea, it should happen. But I think especially after, I want to thank everyone who responded to my post on the subreddit, because I guess I'd had in my mind that more people would be like, I don't want to deal with unlock system stuff, but it seems the majority of folks do. But I'm still going to try to accommodate as much as possible folks who want to freewheel it a little more, without making it too easy to just jump right to the weapon you love the most. So, I think that is about everything. So as always, leave me your thoughts on the subreddit, on this post, and I'm just gonna jump back to work on this because I've got several more targets to get functional. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Peace.